Let's go NFC West, wrap it up here with the West, starting with the Arizona Cardinals. They're over under 8.5 here for Arizona. We've been very positive about some of the moves that Arizona has made here. Year 3 for Jonathan Gannon as head coach. What are your thoughts on the Cardinals and their over under of 8.5?
Yeah, so interesting one because they won 8 games last season in what felt like a rough year for them. Like where it didn't, had huge expectations for Marvin Harrison Jr. It didn't really happen for him, at least in year 1. He was solid, but he certainly wasn't spectacular. Kyler Murray had a couple of the most spectacular games of any quarterback in the NFL, but his overall level was not great. And then the defense did amazing work given the personnel, but the personnel was just not good. That side of the ball has been addressed hard this offseason. So that's really encouraging. But they basically left the offense, as it was effectively and said, we just think it'll get better, with Murray a year removed from injury, with a year with Marvin Harrison to work out the kinks, with Harrison, just developing and getting used to his quarterback, and they'll be on the same page more. And once that happens, there's so much more to come from this offense. I mean, I certainly have some sympathy with that argument, but again, you can also easily imagine a world where it just doesn't, like they just don't click for whatever reason. And Kyler Murray, isn't able to play consistently elite football for whatever reason, and it just doesn't work.
I wonder if Kyler Murray is a high floor quarterback because of high ceiling games. So it's going to be like, it would be tough for Arizona to only win 4 or 5 games with Kyler Murray starting, because there'll be a few games a year. So the floor, the season floor is high. Like, you're going to win 7 or 8 games with Arizona because of Kyler and with Gannon, to be honest. Like, for the last 2 years, they have had the personnel deficit in almost every game. And think about how many times they just overachieved on a weekly basis. So I feel like they're a high floor team. I just don't know where the ceiling is with them. They did. So does that all make sense, right? High floor because there's going to be a couple games a year where I think Kyler outplays the opposing quarterback. He's just special. There's going to be times where they just play harder and put things together, I think, under Jonathan Gannon. But now the question is, how do they go from being an 8-win type of team to a 10 or 11-win type of team? And look, I think that they made the right types of moves to move in that direction. But Will Johnson's also, second-round pick, Will Johnson coming off an injury. Will Walter Nolan make that impact immediately at defensive tackle? Maybe a lot of the moves they don't necessarily feel in year 1 and could still be a year away from putting all that together.
Well, this is where there's some sort of the kernel of truth to the hyperbolic analytics mantra of defense doesn't matter. Like, obviously defense makes an impact, but ultimately all of those defensive additions, even if the defense is way better than it was a year ago, I don't know that they're going to move the needle if the offense doesn't get any better. Like, if Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison still can't find each other over the course of the season in year 2, and they just, for whatever reason, cannot get on the same page, and Marvin Harrison starts the season again running like a hippo, and like with double, like in the teens miles per hour figures, I'm like, hey, how come Marvin Harrison's the slowest player in the league? Like, if that all repeats this cycle, it won't matter if the defense is better. They're probably not going to win 9 or more games, right? They need some kind of development from that Kyler Murray, really just the Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison axis. But Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, the rest of the receivers within that offense, like, that group needs to get better this year if they want to win more games than they had a year ago.
They have a chance to start out really good. I mean, the Cardinals, they're at the Saints. They play the Panthers in week 2. And I guess if you were playing an upstart Panthers team, would you rather play them early rather than late when they start to, put things together? At San Francisco in week 3. And then they have Seattle, Titans, and Colts. So there's a lot of potential wins on the schedule just through 6 weeks to kick things off. I think things get a little bit tougher as the season goes on for the Cardinals. They play the Texans, Rams a couple times later, Niners again. But I think the start is doable for Arizona. They're a challenging one, though, just because of what I said. I think they've just been overall inconsistent the last couple of years, but better than they should have been the last couple of years, too. So the most talented team that Jonathan Gannon has had to this point. So I think I'll lean over the 8.5. I think they should be at least a 9-win team. Again, assuming health and seeing what Gannon can do with some defensive line talent for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I'm starting to lose a bit of faith with Kyler Murray. I kind of want to go under here.
You can. You're allowed to.
I know that's a lot of unders I've had recently.
No, you were over a lot. You were. I don't know. Somebody's keeping track.
Well, I swung. I was all over at the start, and then I've all been under recently. Okay, I'll stick with under.
It's all going to be different too when we do our preview show in August, before the actual season. Right? This is just fodder right now. We're just having fun.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.